Welcome back, my legends, and today I'm going to make a very different video than what I usually make. No, most of the time I make videos that are fun or interesting, but this one is going to be very serious. So if you're not into these kinds of videos, I suggest you just click off and watch something else. And now that you have gotten that warning, let's begin. Now, so on September 3rd of 2020, the Respawn devs decided to put out some new changes to the Evo shields, but that's not what I'm going to talk about. What I want to talk about is what they did with Caustic and some other things that I want to discuss. Respawn removed one of Caustic's lines where he calls Crypto a gutter rat.
Traitors don't deserve gratitude.
I agree. You're smarter than you look.
This isn't over, gutter rat. You'll regret the day you crossed me.
You're not the one who should be angry, idiot.
Now, I have seen the arguments of people saying that, hey Kev, this is a racial slur that's been used since World War II to describe Asian people. If you don't see the offensiveness here, then that means you're a bad person. Now listen, I get where you're coming from, I understand that, but this is my worry because Tom decided to remove this line because one person on Twitter found it offensive. And I want to show you guys the hypocrisy of what Tom did, but in order to understand this, I want to go back because I didn't get outraged over this for no reason. There is a reason to my madness because, and please do not go harass the writer Tom or the person that said that, oh, this was racist and called him soft, because that doesn't solve anything. I just want to prove a point here that's very important, and it really pains me to say this, and I didn't want to say it, but goddamn, somebody has to say it. The reason this person was offended by this line is because Caustic, the white guy, said it. There, I said it. Nobody wants to admit it, but that's the reason why he got offended. If any of the other legends said it to Crypto, I'm pretty sure this person wouldn't be as offended as if a white person said it. And honestly, this is really disgusting because what he's implying is that Caustic said it on purpose and not on accident, because now by you removing the line Respawn, you're pretty much admitting that, yeah, Caustic in a way is a racist. Now some of you are going to say, Kevin, what do you mean by this? Well, when you hear the word gutter rat, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Now, a lot of people will say, oh, he's calling Crypto a snitch. The reason Caustic is calling Crypto a gutter rat is because he wants to label him as a traitor, somebody that's untrustworthy, and nobody should put their faith in him. Even though the ironic thing is that it was Caustic who betrayed the legends under context, but he's doing this because that way specifically Wattson would have doubts about Crypto. That's the whole reason this was made. And here's the thing, a lot of people were saying that, oh, Caustic would never say such a thing, he'll make fun of people's intelligence. Well, here's the definition for gutter rat mentality: is an unintelligent and uneducated person who has a very low levels of thinking. So in a way, Caustic is calling Crypto stupid. Guess what? Caustic, being somebody who thinks he's better than anybody and smarter than anybody, he's making fun of Crypto for basically calling him stupid. So for the people that are saying there was no way Caustic would ever say such a word, well, guess what? It is possible, and it makes sense because it will fit his character. What makes me worry about this is that now when they're going to write Caustic in the future lines, they're going to be extra careful to not saying anything that somebody might find offensive. For example, if he calls Lova stupid and calls her weak, then what's going to happen is that Caustic is going to be labeled some kind of sexist. If Caustic calls Mirage, like, I don't know, depressed, people are going to say Caustic is insensitive. So in my eyes, they're going to be forced to water down Caustic. So I know some of you are saying, Kevin, you're crazy, it's just one line. Nope, that's not it, because remember the OK sign that Rafe used to do? Well, I've talked to some of the data miners and they have said that it's still in the files, but you can't get it anymore from what I understand. It's something that most people will not get no more because some trolls convinced the media that the OK sign is some kind of hate symbol for white supremacists or white power. It was very stupid then and it's very stupid now. But all of a sudden you give these people what they wanted. But what does this have to do with Tom? Well, because Tom, a long time ago, Tom was trying to refuse to say that Wattson was on the spectrum, which she was created to be like that, but Tom was on the fence about it because he had family members or friends that were saying, please, we understand what this is your character, but for us, don't hurt our feelings and say that, yeah, Wattson is in the spectrum. So Tom admitted that he was always on the fence with this question, and he even said that he struggled to answer it on one of Chris's interviews.
Is Wattson intentionally coded as on the spectrum? There seem to be several references in her voice lines. I think it's important to know, but if you can't answer directly, will we find out?
So here's the situation there. And I'm just going to be really honest now, because I've been asked this question about a dozen times on Twitter, and every answer I give, I look bad.
Okay.
So when I conceived the character originally, she was. And there were people who have firsthand experience of dealing with this that I don't have, who came to me and said, please don't do this. And I respect them greatly, and I respect their wishes. And it's people who have family members who are, and I wanted to create somebody who was positive representation. And I believe I did create somebody who was positive representation. But out of respect for them, because the family members who are, we pulled back on saying it. In my head, she is, but I also respect their wishes as well. And I don't have, I have friends who are autistic and on the spectrum. I don't have I don't have kids who are.
Right.
And so I want to respect their wishes, because they are dealing with it firsthand. I am not. And if they tell me you cannot represent this properly, then I respect that. So that is why I've been given wishy-washy answers on Twitter. And I wanted to do something really positive for the community, but I also am on the outskirts of that community. I'm not in it, so yeah.
So as you heard, Tom did not want to hurt his friends or family members' feelings about Wattson being in the spectrum, because they were saying that she's not a good representative of what's going on with them, so please don't do it. So did Tom respect their wishes and kept their promise? Of course he did it, because on June 30th, Tom came out and said, yes, Wattson is on the spectrum. Bravo, Tom. Good for you. This is your character. This is what you created her to be, and this is what you wanted her to represent. And as much as I know you're going to hurt the family or friend members' feelings by doing that, you understood that, hey, I rather have her represent this because this is what I believe in. Even though it might not be 100% representative, it's okay, because it will do more good than harm. And I applaud that. I appreciated that. To me, when I heard this, I'm like, wow, Tom actually is willing to make characters like this, and even if it does hurt some people's feelings, he's okay with it. I was really damn surprised and impressed by that. Now, this is where I think Tom became kind of hypocritical. So Tom was willing to hurt his feelings of the people that he knew personally, close friends, whatever, that hey, Wattson is in the spectrum, but I know even if you do hate me, it was my choice to do that. Okay, fair enough, right? They had to respect your choice for doing that, even though it was going to hurt their feelings. But then out of nowhere, Tom got this tweet from this one guy who said that, hey, this line from Caustic, I get offended by this because in a way it's a racial slur. But here's the thing, Tom admitted that, hey, he ran this line through a lot of people, which by the way, Ashley even admit that they do have some Korean devs that work for them.
I brought it to one of our Korean speaking devs and he's like, don't change that. And I'm like, got it. So
in fact, they have a voice actor that's Korean in Johnny. And I'm pretty sure he asked them and they all said back that, hey, they don't find it offensive because they understand the context. Now, there's going to be some people saying that, well, what if people don't keep up with the lore and they just hear that? Wouldn't that they find it offensive if they don't have any context? Well, no, because here's the reason why. Because then you're going to be curious and wonder, why is Caustic calling Crypto a gutter rat? You're going to be curious. You're going to be wondering, why is he doing that? Well, what's the bad blood between them? And they're going to look up videos about the lore. So in a way, Tom is actually doing his job. He's getting people interested in the lore. And I know some people are going to say, well, Kevin, that's no excuse because it's still a racial slur. Look, he did his due diligence and showed the line towards some people who were actually Korean or Asian descent. And they did not find it offensive. Now, the hypocrisy here that I'm trying to explain about Tom is that he was willing to go against the people that he talked talked to personally that know that they're on the spectrum, he was willing to say, look, Wattson spectrum, because that's the character I wanted to represent. But for some reason, he decided that this one Twitter user that found this one word offensive, he decided, you know what, I want to get rid of it. So okay, Tom, you're willing to listen to the feelings of this random Twitter user that you don't know, but you're not willing to listen to the people that were telling you that Wattson is not a good representative on the spectrum. Tom, I really mean this. Please send these people an apology, because in my eyes, that's some form of betrayal. Now, this is not Tom's only hypocrisy that I found. So this is what makes me think that this is the reasoning for all this, because the way Tom tweeted out my tweet and basically ignored my concerns that, oh, hey, does this mean you're going to censor legends that some people find offensive? He kind of ignored that and deflected and said that, hey, this is some kind of political thing. It's us versus them. Don't let them divide us, blah, blah, blah. I'll be the first one to be concerned if something changes a character. So very interesting that Tom kind of ignore what I was saying, that, hey, does this mean that you're now going to censor characters that some people find offensive? Now, one of the things that I noticed is that Tom said that he'll be the first one to raise hell if a character is being changed, which is exactly why I'm trying to tell him, look, the whole reason you put that line in the game in the first place is because you want people to realize that there's something going on with Crypto and Caustic. And also there might be a hidden meaning between what Caustic is saying, because he's told Crypto that you ruled the day you crossed me, but the thing is that we know that Crypto never crossed Caustic. So what is Caustic talking about? There's some hidden meaning in those words that Caustic said, and you know it. So the thing that you just said, that, oh, this doesn't change anything, is a lie. Because there's people like me that go, wait a minute, is this the connection that we all assume Caustic and Crypto have? Did Caustic secretly tell Crypto who he knows who he really is? So in one of the holo sprays, we see that Bangalore originally had a character that said respect the uniform, and they changed it to popping the chimney. Now, I don't know, Tom, to me this is in a way some kind of censorship. Like, I know we have problems in America with police enforcement, but what does this have to do with Bangalore? And this is what I'm concerned about. Respawn got rid of the OK sign because people on the internet that were trolls were able to fool the media that it was some kind of hate symbol. You got rid of the Caustic line because they thought that Caustic used it in a racial manner, and by removing it, you're basically stating that, yeah, Caustic in a way didn't do it accidentally, but he did it on purpose. He called Crypto a gutter rat because he was Asian. So in a way, you're kind of implying Caustic is racist. At the same time, you ignore all the people that have concerns about Lova and that she's not 100% appropriate to be represented by Brazilian or Portuguese people. Although, to be fair, that is Ashley's character now. So, but Tom didn't seem to have a problem with the Lova concerns, except when somebody called him out on Caustic, which is one of his characters. Interesting, right? You made the dark skin legends darker for some reason. I don't really have a problem with that, but I do have a problem with Bangalore being censored, and that you don't want to represent her as a soldier or a military person, even though that's her character. So do you see what I mean? You're trying to censor yourself so you don't offend a certain group of people. Now, Tom, take this same story and apply it to the people that were telling you, please don't make Wattson in the spectrum. In the end, what you did, you came out and said Wattson was in the spectrum. In my opinion, it was the right thing to do. And here, I know even though people are offended that Caustic said this line, you should have just said that, look, there's a reason why Caustic hates Crypto a lot, especially if you've been paying really close attention to the lore. So all I'm trying to say is that please don't listen to these people. There's always going to be that one person that's offended. Ignore it. Make the story that you want to make. And if you see my theories, you understand why. But that's where I'll leave it, my legends. Please let me know if I am completely in the wrong, if I'm some kind of horrible person, if I should never ever give up a different view in life other than your views. I'm actually curious. Please tell me why I'm so ignorant and why I'm so hateful. Because in the end, that's what I want people to be. I want them to be free thinkers. Even though we might not agree, I like to have difference in opinions and understand why you think that way. Because in the end, it really is a magical thing when we all come together to understand each other. And that's where I'll leave it at that.
I'll keep on repenting for that night so long ago. That your hands disappear, I'll still find the place where you